Good morning, and thanks for taking the time today to watch this video and um, listen to my thoughts in this session at this great event that's being held to um, sort of reflect on where cerebral palsy has reached and some of the challenges that those of you like me living with cerebral palsy have to face in the UK in 2024. My name is Howard. I'm a director at PwC and I work in our financial services consulting practice. I'm also a UK Financial Inclusion Commissioner, an avid follower of football and an Arsenal season ticket holder, and in many senses always just look to be a very ordinary person going about my day-to-day life, trying to achieve exactly the same things that many of you today are also looking to achieve. I'm sorry that I'm not there in person today. I'm actually incredibly fond of Glasgow as a location. Both my parents are Glaswegian, and I spent many trips as a kid travelling the 8 hours north to Glasgow to go and see my grandparents and other relatives, and would have been there in person today except for some logistical challenges, which mean that unfortunately I'm here on video, and then of course we've got time for a Q&A shortly. In that Q&A, I'm very happy to take any questions, thoughts, reflections you have, and to discuss some of the broader challenges facing the UK. To start with, the story, I guess, of why we said a life spent smiling for this session is really because throughout my life, whatever has happened, whatever the challenges I have faced, and whatever the complexities there have been in overcoming some of the hurdles that are in your way if you're in a wheelchair, have always managed to find a way to smile. And my smile has in many senses helped me unlock many doors. I feel life's also this great thing that for all the challenges that you have, there's still this thing when I get up in the morning that says that I'm so happy to be alive and so happy that I took the opportunities I did, and that the challenges I had, I think, make me better as a person, both in the way that I think about the world and some of the problems we have today, and also in managing and running the many consulting teams I have over a long period of time. And without those challenges, I don't think I would be here having this conversation with you. And I genuinely mean that, in that my life experiences make me better at what I do because they give me a better sense of perspective and allow me to show more empathy in dealing with the challenges that our teams face. I also think that to say that life with a disability is negative would somehow not reflect all the joy that has come along the way, and would also not reflect against my kind of peer group from growing up, relatively the level of success I had compared to some of those individuals as well. And I think it would be wrong for me to acknowledge that my life's been incredibly fortunate. Having been born prematurely in 1984 and hurtling towards 40, I now reflect back as a middle-aged person and think, gosh, how did all those years go? But also, how did all those things happen? So I started life in a kind of small village in Oxfordshire called Blaydon, which is where Churchill is buried. And I think that's relevant because the hero of the village was a person who decided that they were going to overcome many challenges in support of the UK surviving a war, and has always been held up as a national hero. But in reality to me, he's just some bloke that we used to walk past his grave on the way to school and occasionally kick a football over the wall to by accident and have to go and collect it from the kind of nestling of his grave. But it also, I think, showed everybody in that village that you can achieve great things from a tiny place. Village was that everybody knew everybody, so I don't think I ever felt particularly outside of that village norm, but much more within it. And my needs and the things I needed help with were probably to some degree catered for by the village, in the sense that everybody knew who I was, and they probably knew some of the challenges I faced, and they also knew some of the challenges that my parents faced. And that sense of community and team spirit in overcoming things is something that always stays with me. I also think that if you then reflect, I went to a special school, and then by the time I was 7, was one of that wave of people who were fully integrated into mainstream learning, but with sort of learning support assistant to help me do that. And that person was critical in enabling me to start my life in being educated in a mainstream way. I then went to the local secondary school about 10 minutes drive down the road from our house. And again, that had a special needs unit attached to it, but I was very much within the mainstream system. And at that school, I guess I achieved very high GCSE scores and very high A-level scores to such an extent that I guess I broke the mold in becoming the first person in my school in a wheelchair to stay to do A-levels in sixth form. And then from those A-levels, I achieved a place at the LSE, failed an Oxford interview, which, although disappointing at the time, actually led to many lifelong friendships. In fact, 2 of those people who I met at the Oxford interview are still very much friends to these days. And I think that it's the people that you meet in life that matter as much as the circumstances in which you meet them. And many of those people have helped me come very basic challenges in life around getting on and off a bus, or getting to the cinema, or going to the theatre, or going to the football, or going for a pint, were critical in my success, in that I think I always felt very integrated into their social circle, and I always felt that I had friends, and that the deal was, as much as they would help me with physical things that were practical, I would be the calm one who would help work through how we were going to solve this problem, and occasionally, in some cases, would help calm people down before they got to a place where they kind of lost their temper or did something that they'd regret. So I've always been the boring, sensible one with a sense of rebellion, who believes that anything is possible as long as you do it with a smile and you help persuade others that they should come with you on that journey. I then went from that sort of school period of my life, and I call that period 1, where you overcame all those cerebral palsy or disability or social related challenges. And then you have the second period of my life, which really starts with the LSE. And at the LSE, the thing that happened to anybody who went to the LSE in my generation was that you had your eyes open to the wider world. The brilliance of people from abroad, the way in which they thought about problems, the connections they had, the global ecosystem, the social and political ecosystem, and moreover, what it was like to be in a room with super bright people every day. Living in central London with all the vibrancy that brought, overcoming the challenges of living around the corner from Covent Garden, from Leicester Square, from Trafalgar Square, from all the known places, all the noise, hustle and bustle. And for all of that, I felt that London was this great equalizer, because in London I felt that you could be disabled and frankly nobody cared, providing you knew how to get on and off a bus, and how to have a conversation, and how to get to the pub and to the bars and everything else that went on, and also how to deal with the constant chaos and noise. And that really taught me to be independent and to live independently as well. It was a bit hair-raising in the first term as I overcame those challenges, but I overcame those challenges, I did. And again, that was down to the cohort of people I met on my course, in my year. I met randomly in other events, and together, we all grew up and we learned how to go on. And I think if you look at what those people do now, many of them went on to be very successful in their careers. Some of them went on to change genuine things in social discourse, and some, focused on their families and, building the future. But what we all had in common was that we all wanted the UK and actually society to progress. And it's that social progression today which I think sometimes lacks. I then went from the LSE to PwC, and first time around and did my ACA, and in doing so worked with the Institute of Chartered Accountancy for England and Wales to help make the process of getting those accounting exams easier, and in doing that with PwC changed the way in which disabled students with dexterity challenges were kind of considered. And once I did that, after 5 years at PwC, the Bank of Ireland's recapitalisation, the Lehman Brothers administration, and various other large jobs in financial services. I went to Barclays and took a role in global capital reporting. And from there, I went to KPMG and did a number of regulatory investigations, including on the largest swap mis-selling scandal in the country, which at the time was RBS's, running the complex case team that was dealing with all the cases on Panorama. From there, I went to another consulting firm and helped build out a global team looking at finance, risk, and compliance across 5 geographies with 300 people. And since returning to PwC, have focused more on financial inclusion, financial resilience, and broader customer inclusion, and have really been focusing more on this agenda. What happened in my career, across the span of it, was that many kind of individual customer cases within financial services touched on credit risk, which is linked to bank capital, but also touched on the human element of what it means to interact with a customer every day. And it was that in touching on that human element of what it means to interact with a customer every day, my interest in vulnerable customers, in broader customer inclusion, and my lived experiences having overcome and perhaps helped change certainly a lot of perspectives, but a few systems, was actually there's something here, and that is what ultimately led me to become a UK Financial Inclusion Commissioner, and also what I think in a way sort of preempted where the regulatory and social and broader discourse on what needs to happen for customers has reached. Sadly, I think in that time, whilst there's been broader debate on inclusion, sometimes the reality of people with a disability has got worse. And sometimes I feel that disability-related things have been deprioritized. However, I think now is the time where we have a real opportunity to move those things forward. But as an individual, despite all of the successes that I've just outlined, I think the key thing is that I always remained just a very ordinary person, getting on with my life, wanting to achieve things and finding a way to achieve them. And that wouldn't have been possible without my family, without my wife, and without other friends around me. And the one thing that I never did in any day is wake up and think, I can't do this. I always woke up every day and said, there are these challenges. I have my chair, I have my needs. But if you focus on things in the right way, and you get the right people to come with you and to help you, and you ask for help at the right time, then I genuinely think if you're in a wheelchair, even in 2024, even with all the challenges, you can achieve whatever you want to. But I think you have to be realistic about what that achievement means, the complexities that you'll have to overcome, and indeed the people that you have to take with you. For me, there was never really a route which said, I want to sit down here and be angry and be alone. I always saw the positive in every opportunity. For every time wheelchair access failed, there was always a kind person who helped me find a way around the failure of the wheelchair access. Every time there was someone in the world of work who couldn't quite understand what reasonable adjustments meant, I always knocked on a door until I found a person that could help me fix it. And there were some great people in the various organisations I've worked for who helped me fix it. Sometimes it took a bit of time to find them, but what I learned in life is that you can worry about what the broader world is doing, or you can worry about the impact that you and the person sat next to you can have. And if you think about the impact that you and the person sat next to you can have, then I think you can take a much more positive discourse in saying, let's fix the immediate thing in front of you. Let's be positive about what you can achieve as a person with a disability. And you can achieve the same as anybody else. You meet can, but you have to believe that you can. And you also have to back yourself and be confident that that's possible. But you have to understand where the other person is coming from in working out how to help them empathize with your situation. In my experience of life, I think the vast majority of people want to do the right thing, don't in any sense have anything against your disability, and also at times just need a bit of help to understand, because they often haven't had the experiences that you will have had, and they don't understand what that means. And explaining to them not that you're disabled, but that what the consequence of your disability means in the context of a situation is really important, because that helps you work with them to overcome something. It's not like you should always have the answers or they will always have the answers, but I always believe there's a first time for everything, and there's a first time for someone to really understand what disability means and how you live with it. But it's not about the fact the person's disabled. It's about the fact the person is a person. They have dreams and aspirations, and they want to live and get on with their lives and to keep smiling. And by keeping smiling, they want to go to the football, they want to go to nice restaurants, they want to go to the theatre, they want to achieve their hobbies, and they want to explore and see the world. But to do that, they need a little bit of help. But then every person you meet in life, disability or no disability, visible or hidden, will at some point need a little bit of help. But what's really important is that that person is just a person, an ordinary person, the son of two Glaswegians, born in a tiny village in the middle of Oxfordshire, and ultimately went on to do many more things than he ever imagined possible in my case. But there's no reason why any of you in this audience, can't do the same. What you need to do, I think, is focus on what you want to achieve, work out how you can achieve it, and decide what you want. I chose a career in financial services not because I was this person sitting in my local school thinking, wouldn't it be great to be a banking regulatory consultant? But because I was always curious, and because I realised when I was at university that the flow of finance drives many things. And through the flow of finance, you can actually have a massive impact for good. Some of the challenges that later happened and some of the things that went wrong in financial services were terrible. But I still believe that by being there and working through the sort of cold face of how you help enable people to be more financially included and get on with their lives is really important. And I'm not saying that any of you should choose or not choose to go into financial services, but that you should choose to do something with your life that engages you, that you're interested in, that creates curiosity, and that you want to succeed. And that with a little bit of help from the people around you, if you articulate it well enough, you can achieve whatever you want. And therefore, despite your disability, you should keep smiling, because the joy of life and all the things that come with it, the friendships, the relationships, your family, and of course your career, are things that make life and the ecosystem that is the world go round. And there's no reason why you shouldn't aspire to great things. But I encourage you to get out of your houses, to believe that you can achieve those great things, and to keep smiling and help persuade others and show them that just because you have a disability doesn't mean there's a limit to what you can achieve.